Hello, I'm going to teach you how to play the wonderful game chess. Most of you think it's boring. Well, it's not. Deal with it. Now, this is a pawn. Short and knobby, extremely short figure. Basically, you just use it to trick other people into traps. Most people really don't care about losing them until they lose them all. Then you just kind of panic. But, yeah, not really all that significant. That's why it's called a pawn. Anywho, on its first turn, the pawn can either move one space or two spaces. But after that, it can only move one space. While it's attacking, it can only move diagonally forward. And only one space. Only one space! Boop. Next is the rook. A pretty awesome character, if I do say so myself. The one that kind of looks like a... what would I call this? The one with the sand inside of it. It's time block sand thing. You know what I'm talking about. Anywho. Yes, most people usually call these castles. Well, they're rooks. Get your facts straight. The rook, if it can move forward any number of spaces it wants. It can move backward any number of spaces it wants. It can move side to side any number of spaces it wants. The only thing it can't do is go diagonal. So, yeah, he can attack any way. I'm pretty sure he's like the third most powerful piece. Next is the awesome knight. Most people call it a horse. Well, it's a knight. Get your facts straight. Might not have a knight on it, but it's a knight. It's not a horse. Usually the one that looks like a horse. This is the only character that can jump characters, and it always has to move into L space. So if I do this, it can either go two spaces forward, then one side, or one space forward, then two side. Always has to make an L shape. Always has to do that. And it can jump characters. Next is the bishop. The really tall one that just looks like a pawn who went on a torture device. Yes, really extremely tall. This guy can only move diagonal. He can only attack diagonal. He can only move diagonal. But he can move as many number of spaces he wants. So he's pretty cool. I do say so myself. Next is, I'm just going to skip this, the queen. The second most powerful piece in my opinion. She can move any number of spaces she wants anywhere. She's basically invincible until like a pawn sneaks up on her. That happened to me once. It was really sad. Yeah, so she just looks like a taller, more filled out version of the bishop. Next is the king, the guy who usually has a cross on his head. Yep, this guy, he may be important, but he's a serious loser. He can only move one space at a time. So when it comes down to just your two kings, the game can go on for a really long time. So as you can see, as you set up the board, it's always pawns in the front, then you go rook on the ends, then it would be the knights, then it would be the bishops, and most people say it's opposite, but I actually put the queen on the opposite color of her. So if I have black and cream colored ones, I put the black one on the cream and the cream on the black. So for those of you who disagree with me, too bad! Yes, so this game is pretty fun. So, like I said, you just sit there, attacking. Oh, yes, ways to do check. Most people disagree with me at this at school. Too bad. So, when it comes down to just your two kings, it can either be, like, let's say a bishop is here. Well, then the queen can just get him. It's not checkmate if the queen can just kill him. Or, if nobody's around, if the king can just move out of check, he's still good. So, yeah, most of you who say, oh, it's checkmate. Well, it's not checkmate if he can either move out or somebody can kill him. Most people is like, oh, you're in checkmate, you can't move. I'm like, it's just check. I can move somebody, go capture your guy. Just calm yourselves. So, yes. The main point of the game is to capture the king. This guy.
So what's checkmate?
Checkmate is when you really can't move out of check and there's like no one to help you. Sorry guys, you can't help your friend. You're surrounded. Waffles. So yeah, this usually doesn't happen, but if it did, you would so win. But this is just like a fantasy awesomeness of what a check would look like. Like, usually most of the players over here would be taken, or all of them would be taken. So, yeah, this guy would be completely surrounded. No way to move out of check, so this is checkmate. It's virtually impossible to get out of check, because this guy can only move 1 square at a time. And there'd just be, like, a bunch of other people moving towards him, so that would fail. So, yeah, this is basically how you play chess. Pretty self-explanatory. Most people are like, oh, it's a snobby game. Well, it isn't. It's a very awesome game of war for people who like video games like that. So, if I have forgotten anything, well, life isn't just fair for you now, is it?